The Gospel of Mary Magdalene. Pages 1 through 6 are missing. Page 7. What is matter? Will it last forever? The teacher answered, all that is born, all that is created, all the elements of nature are interwoven and united with each other. All that is composed shall be decomposed. Everything returns to its roots. Matter returns to the origins of matter. Those who have ears, let them hear. Peter said to him, since you have become the interpreter of the elements of the events of the world, tell us, what is the sin of the world? The teacher answered, there is no sin. It is you who make sin exist when you act according to the habits of your corrupted nature. This is where sin lies. This is why the good has come into your midst. It acts together with the elements of your nature so as to reunite it with its roots. Then he continued, this is why you become sick and you die. It is the result of your actions. What you do takes you further away. Those who have ears, let them hear. Page 8. Attachment to matter gives rise to passion against nature. Thus, trouble arises in the whole body. This is why I tell you, be in harmony. If you are out of balance, take inspiration from manifestations of your true nature. Those who have ears, let them hear. After saying this, the Blessed One greeted them all, saying, peace be with you. May my peace arise and be fulfilled within you. Be vigilant and allow no one to mislead you by saying, here it is or there it is, for it is within you that the Son of Man dwells. Go to him, for those who seek him find him. Walk forth and announce the gospel of the kingdom. Page 9. Impose no law other than that which I have witnessed. Do not add more laws to those given to the Torah, lest you become bound by them. Having said all this, he departed. The disciples were in sorrow, shedding many tears and saying, how are we to go among the unbelievers and announce the gospel of the kingdom of the Son of Man? They did not spare his life, so why should they spare ours? Then Mary arose, embraced them all, and began to speak to her brothers. Do not remain in sorrow and doubt, for his grace will guide you and comfort you. Instead, let us praise his greatness, for he has prepared us for this. He is calling upon us to become fully human. Thus Mary turned their hearts toward the good, and they began to discuss the meaning of the teacher's words. Page 10. Peter said to Mary, sister, we know that the teacher loved you differently from other women. Tell us whatever you remember of any words he told you, which we have not yet heard. Mary said to them, I will now speak to you of that which has not been given to you to hear. I had a vision of the teacher, and I said to him, Lord, I see you now in this vision. And he answered, you are blessed, for the sight of me does not disturb you. There where is the noose lies the treasure. Then I said to him, Lord, when someone meets you in a moment of vision, it is through the soul that they see, or is it through the spirit? The teacher answered, it is neither through the soul nor the spirit, but the noose between the two which sees the vision. And it is this which pages 11 through 14 are missing. Page 15. And craving said, I did not see you descend, but now I see you rising. Why do you lie, since you belong to me? The soul answered, I saw you, though you did not see me, nor recognize me. I was with you as with a garment, and you never felt me. Having said this, the soul left, rejoicing greatly. Then it entered into the third climate, known as ignorance. Ignorance inquired of the soul, where are you going? You are dominated by wicked inclinations. Indeed, you lack discrimination, and you are enslaved. The soul answered, Why do you judge me, since I have made no judgment? I have been dominated, but I myself have not dominated. I have not been recognized, but I myself have recognized that all things which are composed shall be decomposed on earth and in heaven. Page 16. Freed from this third climate, the soul continued its ascent and found itself in the fourth climate. This has 7 manifestations. The first manifestation is darkness. The second, craving. The third, ignorance. The fourth, lethal jealousy. The fifth, enslavement to the body. The sixth, intoxicated wisdom. The seventh, guileful wisdom. These are the 7 manifestations of wrath, and they oppressed the soul with questions. Where do you come from, murderer? And where are you going, vagabond? The soul answered, That which oppressed me has been slain. That which encircled me has vanished. My craving has faded, and I am freed from my ignorance. Page 17. I left the world with the aid of another world. A design was erased by virtue of a higher design. Henceforth I travel toward repose, where time rests in the eternity of time. I go now into silence. Having said all of this, Mary became silent, for it was in silence that the teacher spoke to her. Then Andrew began to speak and said to his brothers, Tell me, what do you think of these things she has been telling us? As for me, I do not believe that the teacher would speak like this. These ideas are too different from those we have known. And Peter added, How is it possible that the teacher talked in this manner with a woman about secrets of which we ourselves are ignorant? Must we change our customs and listen to this woman? Did he really choose her and prefer her to us? Page 18. Then Mary wept and answered him, My brother Peter, what can you be thinking? Do you believe that this is just my own imagination, that I invented this vision? Or do you believe that I would lie about our teacher? At this, Levi spoke up, Peter, you have always been hot-tempered, and now we see you repudiating a woman, just as our adversaries do. Yet if the teacher held her worthy, who are you to reject her? Surely the teacher knew very well, for he loved her more than us. Therefore let us atone and become fully human, so that the teacher can take root in us. Let us grow as he demanded of us, and walk forth to spread the gospel without trying to lay down any rules and laws other than those he witnessed. Page 19. When Levi had said these words, they all went forth to spread the gospel according to Mary. Hello there, Pete Haskins here on this Esoteric Circle YouTube channel. Welcome. So good to have you with me here tonight, and just going to be talking a little bit about the Gospel of Mary Magdalene. I appreciate Carol giving me this book on Mary Magdalene, and it is just a fascinating read, especially the preface and the introduction here. And as you can hear in terms of the reading, there's a lot missing, isn't there? The first 6 pages and then 11 through 14 are missing from this. So it's so fascinating to think of what is missing. But we get a glimpse of Mary as a leader and as someone who not only was loved by Christ, but who was able to have full gnosis, full knowledge of the wisdom of Christ, and had a deep connection, fascinating connection with the Christ. And this book in particular, the Gospel, was first discovered in about 1896 in Cairo, so about 50 years before Nag Hammadi and the Gospel of Thomas and the main texts of the Gnostic Gospels were discovered. And it is determined, even from the some of the research that has been done, that the Gospel of Mary was probably written around 150, possibly even before that, maybe even about the time that the Gospel of John was being finished up. So the early church had access to this, and it's just a tiny little book, and most likely they would have had access to the entire thing. And obviously people had this stuff memorized, you know. So, but as this was suppressed by Constantine at the Council of Nicaea, everything that was not accepted at the Council of Nicaea, and all the bishops who did not agree were instantly exiled. And so at the 325, the Gospel of Mary was out. So it had to be memorized, it had to be passed in secret. But what this talks about is knowledge. Gnosticism, that's all it is. This knowledge of God, and how our fallen nature, our fallen consciousness really soils our vision. It blurs our vision, our scatteredness, our slumber. We are sleepwalking. We're somnambulists, aren't we? We sleepwalk through the world, through this existence. And that fallen nature is the thing which allows us to not see the world as God has it. So when we talk about this world as an oubliette, and we talk about the universe as a prison, and this earth as this dungeon, we don't look at it in terms of the earth as fallen and evil. Let's talk about that for a minute. When we have our awakening and our stage of purification, and we have this illumination, we have our magnetic center that is developed, and we are working toward this bridging of the chasms that the fourth way talks about in terms of the ray of creation. And we realize that we are moving toward our higher emotional center, where the true personality comes out. In other words, as we evolve. All this is about evolution. All of it is about evolution. The Gnostics just call it something different. They call it gnosis. Knowledge, this obtaining of knowledge, this gift of the Holy Spirit, as Paul would say. This gift of knowledge, this awakening to this knowledge of the secrets of God's kingdom here on earth. And one of the secrets is, if we can allow it, if we can rise above our fallen nature and we can evolve, if we can evolve enough, we can see that right now at this time, every moment is heaven. That's why I love being in nature. That's why I love being down by the Menominee River. That's why I love being in forests. And that's why I cannot stand cutting down trees and the destruction of the rainforest, destruction of Mother Nature. I can't stand it because I love nature. I love to immerse myself in trees. And as I have moved on in my spiritual journey, I'm more and more connected with nature. And it is so sad what is happening to our earth. And as it changes, as climate change is here to stay, as many of us have always seen that this would happen, we realize that it is more and more important for each one of us to seize the moment, delve deep, dive deep within us, and realize that we have to be seen, we have to be awake for the rest of the world that is asleep. We have to be the eyes that see this knowledge. We have to be the ones, because if everybody else is asleep, we have to be the ones who are awake. We have to see the beauty of God's creation and appreciate it. And we have to allow God to see through us. We have to allow God to love through us. We have to be the conduits. We have to be the stained glass window that the light shines through. We have to do this for our species. We have to be the ones who allow God to live through us. That's what we're after. That's what we're after. We're after this knowledge, not to become buoyed, not to become full of ourselves, full of our ego, but to realize that the creator of the universe wants to speak. The creator loves his creation. And the creator wants to say, really? That's what you're doing to it? Yeah. Mary Magdalene has long been thought of as a prostitute. But guess what? It wasn't even written in the Gospels that she was a prostitute. We have Pope Gregory from the 6th century, same guy who codified the 7 deadly sins, who in his homily 33 said that she was a prostitute. Nowhere in the Gospels is she labeled a prostitute, and it wasn't until 1969 that the Catholic Church apologized for that mistake. And no one was listening, and so we still think of her as a prostitute, and she wasn't. Fascinating history about her, and the legends of her in France are amazing. So I want to read this last little bit from the preface. This preface was written by David Tresmer and Laura Lee Cannon. In the legends and stories told about Mary Magdalene, there can be found some hint of what she may represent for us today. As one who was cleansed from sin, who remains with Christ throughout his death on the cross, and who first witnesses, understands, and believes Christ's resurrection, she represents a human being who is open and available to true inner knowing, who can see in deeper, clearer ways through a unique spiritual connection to both earthly death and the divine. In southern France, there is a strong belief that Mary Magdalene journeyed there along with a small band of followers of Jesus Christ after the chaos that prevailed in Jerusalem. It is said that she lived in the caves that extend throughout the area and developed a kind of clairvoyance, clear seeing that permitted her to become intimate with the caverns and passageways without the use of torches. These caves, carved from the region's limestone, extend for hundreds of miles and make up the most extensive subterranean system in the world. There is one cavern at Saint Baume in the hills east of Marseille, where Mary is said to have lived the last 30 years of her life in intimate connection with this hidden part of the earth. Each morning, according to another legend, a group of angels lifted Mary Magdalene above the summit of the cliffs, where she could listen to the entire choir of angelic hosts, the divine sounds of original and continuing creation. Blessings to you.